Alrighty, folks. We're going to get everybody a few minutes to get connected here before we get rolling. Make sure that everybody is live and ready to roll. Apologize, it took me a couple minutes to get everything squared away there after the break. But we are done now and good to go. All right, and I've got it open here on my side, so there we go. All right, so I guess first of all, I really appreciate all of you guys that tuned in for that 4-hour segment that I did on KFAB. It was an awesome experience. You know, to be trusted with that level of responsibility was humbling. It was a milestone for me because I remember, you know, and I was a little nervous, honestly, on Tuesday to crack the mic, and I haven't been nervous to you know, hey, let's talk. You know, I haven't been nervous to do that for a very long time. Probably the last time I was nervous about it was when I was coming up here on KFAB for the first time, because that show was different, and it wasn't, there was no muscle memory. In fact, muscle memory got me in trouble a couple times. Every time somebody called the program, I would say, "Hi, Jim, welcome to the show. How can I help you? Compute this? How can I help you? What do you say to callers when they call in?" And I'm like sitting here thinking, like, what am I? And I didn't hear like the first 10 words he said because I'm like, what am I going to say? Like the next caller, welcome to the program. What do you have to say, bud? What say you? That's kind of a Bill O'Reilly thing. You know, what is the word that you use when somebody calls? And it's like, so anyway, it was, you know, and of course, I'm sure Scott would tell me, Thor, you just say, Jim, you're on 1110 KFAB. Welcome. That's all you got to do. It's not hard. But for some reason in that moment, I was just, so I just rolled with it. I'm like, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you on not compute this? So how can I help you on compute 1110 KFAB? So I did that a few times. That was funny. Josh got a giggle out of it. There was one caller who called in who literally was like roasting young people, like, "Oh, that's the problem with the youngsters these days." And Josh was like, "Oh," because he's in that age group. And he's like, "Wait a minute now." And so I shared a story about you know, a guy that I know that was, you know, being very entrepreneurial on eBay and finding innovative and different ways to earn money, basically. And I'm like, the entrepreneurial spirit is not dead with these kids. You just got to get through to them in something that matters. So the reason that he was so entrepreneurial on eBay with his graphics cards was because people were getting ripped off. And so he wanted to do something that would slow down the people that were ripping off other people. Now, as a consequence of doing that, he also was able to pocket a few $100s in cash. But that was not his prime motivation, and that's one of the things that's really interesting. And you know, I was like, dang it, that would have been a really good segment. I don't know if you guys have heard of this thing called the fourth turning. It's a concept that all of history is followed by generational repeating patterns. That there are 4 different patterns to each turning, and basically we are in the tail end of the fourth turning right now, which is always chaos, upheaval, you know, problems, things like that. And then the first turn, or the first phase of the next turning, is a more collectivist turning. And you see that. You can see it. Like, it makes so much sense when you look at this theory and you lay it out over current events. You're like, oh my gosh. And they go back and they identify each turning, what generation they were. You know, why that generation did this, that, or the other. It's amazing when you go through it. And so your third... Your second or third turning is usually like your World War II style generation, the independent, I can do anything. I'm a Gen Xer. Gen Xers were latchkey kids. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, you know. And they said as a result, Gen X kids had to figure out how to do stuff on their own. They had to figure out how to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish without the assistance of parents and teachers and other people. Therefore, they tend to be more self-reliant, more entrepreneurial driven, and more willing to be more independent-minded. Which is why you see in politics right now an upheaval of that generation toward conservatism. Because just leave me alone. Let me live my life. And that's why you see in the younger people coming up behind Gen X the concept of collectivism is okay because what's good for all of us is good for each of us. Now, I'm not saying communism. I'm saying collectivism. And it's such and of course that could lead eventually to communism, and it does in some cases, but excuse me. It's just it's super interesting stuff. And I remember I was reading that and I'm like, I should have, if I had read that a week ago, I could have done a segment on the turnings, and that would have been really interesting too. So anyway, I appreciate everybody who tuned in for the segment, who called in. I was terrified I wasn't going to have any callers, and I was just going to have to fill the airtime, because in my head, it was 4 hours of airtime. But as one listener so eloquently put it here in the After Schrock last week, it's actually not 4 hours, because there's a commercial, there's this, there's that, and during the commercial breaks, which you have to have them, guys. I'm not saying that the commercials aren't important, and I know we all would love a station that has no commercials, but you're getting the station for free, so therefore there have to be commercials. If you were willing to pay for the radio station, then there doesn't need to be commercials. So the challenge becomes, how do you take the airtime that you have and make it the most as impactful as it possibly can be, and give people a reason to stay through the promotional breaks to come back for the next segment. And then, of course, they're going to try to surf on the radio. We've all done it, right? And then when you come back, you get stuck into something else, and you're like, oh, I wanted to hear that. And you go back and like, and that was an amazing interview. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Goss. I appreciate it. Enlightening. All righty, let's move on, guys. And you're like, oh, no, I missed it. That's what you want to generate as a radio host, so that people stay with the station. And so I guess that's what I was trying to accomplish, and in my amateurish way. But hopefully I didn't come off too bad. The funny thing is they don't put the podcast up anywhere, so they don't podcast the guest hosts. It doesn't happen. So I'm like, but I would like a copy of it, because I like to listen to the shows that I do, and because I'm so full of myself that I like to hear my own voice. No, right there. Did you hear that? That's something I'm working on right now, because that's not good radio. It's not good radio to use filler words, and so I just tried to do it again, and I stopped myself, because that's what you get when you listen to yourself. You can hear the things that you don't hear when you're engaged and you're talking. If you listen to the show afterwards, you can hear those things. When you use phrases like, at any rate, or, oh golly, what's another one? Oh, I can't remember. I've stricken them from my memory. I see, at any rate, or in any case. I love to use those. And so for years I would use those. And then I finally listened to one of my shows, and I'm like, I say that like every 15 minutes. Or every 15 seconds. I got to stop doing that. And as a result, now I don't use that very often anymore, because, I don't want to do that. At any rate, see how easy it is? All right, let's jump into the comments here. Mary, good morning. Good to have you, top fan Mary. Thanks for joining us today. Blake, good morning. Richard, good to have you. Deborah's here. Good morning, Schrockville, she says. Coffee refilled and ready to go. See, I just have to bring a giant cup of coffee, because I can't get up and get refills. And I don't really... That coffee machine over there, I don't know about that. Have you ever had a suspect coffee machine at work where, if you stare at it long enough, you feel comfortable with it, but if you're a passerby and you look at it, you're like, I don't know if I'd drink out of that. But if you're here for a while, you're like, oh, it's fine. It gets real hot during the day. It'll kill off anything in there. All right, good morning. I was able to listen to the last hour of the show Tuesday. Great job. I'm glad you spoke about the Allen Band. It seems wrong that KFAB does not record. Well, it's not that it's wrong. I mean, literally, we're a guest host at the end of the podcast, or at the end of the show, the next day, Scott sends me a text and he says, well, how do you want to get paid? And I was like, I get paid? Wow. And it was like, it's $100. So you get $100 for doing 4 hours of radio. Do you want to take it in pay or KFAB ads? And I'm like, I will take the KFAB ads. I mean, I'm not going to fill out a W-2 and all that stuff for KFAB ads is fine. So anyway, it was one of those things where, and that buys you like one ad, right? But it was one of those things like unexpected, pleasant surprise. But they don't not post the podcast because I was joking during the radio show that you never know what these guest hosts are going to say. It's just the podcast is something that is an officially sanctioned show by iHeart. It is available not just to the local metro area, but worldwide. If you have a guest host that does something stupid or slips up, you really, really, really don't want to rebroadcast that. And of course, after the fact, you can hear, okay, they didn't slip up or do anything stupid, or it was actually decent radio, so we'll podcast it. But what are you trying to do? Are you trying to build an audience? Because one podcast an audience does not make. So as a result, what do you why? Why are you taking the time to post it? So I'm going to get a copy of it because I want to hear it. I want to listen to it myself. I don't know where I'm going to, if I was to post it for you guys, if you missed the show and you want to hear it, let me know. But I don't know where, it's not really a Schrock Innovations thing. I don't really feel that it fits on the Schrock Facebook page. I could publicly post it on my Facebook page. And guys, a lot of you after that radio segment sent me personal Facebook invites for friends. I denied them all, not because I don't like you or that I don't want to be friends. Because you can tell, like, when you get one guy invites you and then you look at his Facebook friends and it's like, there's Gary Saddlemeyer, there's Scott Voorhees, there's, pretty much every radio host in Omaha. They're an AM radio fan. They love AM radio. That's great. I'm just not at that point yet. Like, I have pictures of my kids on my Facebook feed. That's where we talk about family stuff on my Facebook feed. Now, the stuff that I wouldn't necessarily share with everybody in every way, and not all of my posts are public. So if you find me on Facebook, you'll see some posts, but not all of them are public. So the ones that are public are the ones that I want to have public, and the ones that are not public are the ones that are family. So, maybe I create a separate Facebook thing for, a lot of radio people do that, but most of them take on a different name. Like Steve Lundy. His name isn't really Steve Lundy. But he's got Steve Lundy Facebook, right? And then eventually the two personalities morph and you're double posting everything and it gets to be a pain in the butt. But anyway, so maybe I'll post it publicly on my Facebook for those who want to hear it. But it seems awful, social media is a great place for narcissism to take root, right? And I'm always cognizant when I'm posting things on Facebook that I'm not posting things for my own self-aggrandizement. It's not like, hey, look at me, I'm so awesome. Look at what I'm doing with my kids. I'm a better dad than you. I don't want to play that game. If I'm posting it, though, for the reason that you guys are asking me to post it, I'll post it. I'm not going to post it if it's something that's just like, hey, listen to the great radio that I did for 4 hours because I was a guest host on KFAB. Ain't I a big shot? That's not what I'm trying to accomplish. All right. Hi, Thor. Aaron says, listened on Tuesday. It was good. Thank you, Aaron. Hey, guys, let me know what segment you like best out of that because each segment was designed different. I don't know if you noticed this, but each segment was mapped and designed differently. So some segments were very much like Rush Limbaugh-like. We had cuts of media, like what people in the media were saying in interviews that we brought into the show rather than bringing guests on because Rush never had guests. He just used the media against themselves, basically. Then other segments, we had a segment with Dr. Ernie Goss came on as a guest. We had a segment where the CEO of NioCorp came on. And I came home and I was like, gosh, it's really hard to make rare earth minerals sound like an interesting radio topic, And my wife was like, no, I thought it was fascinating. And I'm like, lovely Kimberly, are you just stroking the feathers here? Come on, that's not right. She's like, no, it was really, he did a good job. If you had a guest on that was going to make mining elements sound fun or interesting, that was the guest to do it. And I learned some things too. I didn't know we had a top 10 mineral deposit in the world right here in Nebraska. Amazing stuff. Now, he could have also just been trying to raise money to mine it. I don't know. And that's what I told him. Says every silver miner ever. This is a big vein under the earth here. We're going to get a lot of silver out of this one. You just need some investment capital. Yeah, so we heard that one before. He didn't think that was funny. He didn't laugh anyway. I don't know. Good morning. Was able to listen to the last hour of your show. I already read that one. Up. Winston, good audio. DJ Thor. I didn't even check the audio levels. How awful am I? But Winston was there for me, so it's a little hot. So I'm going to tune it just a bit so that I'm not redlining you when I get excited. All right. Is it just me or is Facebook stuttering? Well, Facebook stutters? No, it's just you. I hope. I have 0 drop frames, so I know it's not me. Larry King used to address callers with Schenectady, hello? Oh, by the name of their city. I was like, what is that word? Yeah, so I could try that too, but wouldn't it all be the same? Omaha, hello. Omaha, hello. Omaha, hello. It'd all be the same. Do you know why Amazon Alexa stopped using Firefox? Silk seems to be a terrible browser. Are there also privacy concerns? Was not why Amazon Alexa stopped using Firefox. That's something that I didn't even know that happened. Alexa stops using Firefox. Let's find out what's going on here. How to install Firefox in the Echo Show. Mozilla drops Firefox support for Amazon Fire TV. So this is a TV stick that you plug into your TV to use like a set-top box. This month, Mozilla announced plans to phase out support for Firefox web browser app on the Amazon Fire product line. So Mozilla actually canceled their own browser. Amazon Fire TV exists as an app and a physical stick. Although Firefox will no longer be supported on Fire TV effective at the end of the month, Amazon Silk's web browser remains available for Fire TV users. All right, so every TV comes with a built-in garbage web browser, and Silk is just Amazon's built-in garbage web browser that they don't ever expect anyone to use. Yeah, so that's it. So yeah, it was Mozilla that ended it, not not Amazon. So there's no big tech collusion or anything there. It's just one of the problems that Mozilla has is they are small and getting smaller. Their budget is shrinking, and the majority of their annual budget actually comes from Google. So Google is funding Mozilla, the nonprofit organization that makes Firefox and Thunderbird. They are a nonprofit. I don't believe there's collusion or anything going on. I use Firefox. I trust Mozilla Firefox. But it always leaves that bug in the back of your head where if most of your funding is coming from Google and someone from Google called and said, listen up, we need something, someone is at least going to take their call. You know what I mean? That always strikes me wrong. But my guess is that they're shifting their focus to their core product line and basically trimming away things that they can cut that are not getting a lot of use. Because honestly, I can't remember the last time I used a web browser on a television for anything. In fact, I think I maybe have done it twice in my life. And once was to access something across the local network because the TV didn't give me a file system that I could use to navigate the network, but I could put the network address in the web browser and it would take me there. So they're just garbage browsers. Alrighty. All right. Well, Catherine says she wants to see or hear the radio from earlier. I'll have Delaney get that to me, and depending on how she edits it, I'm going to cut out the commercials and stuff, so it's just it was basically 2 hours of total content, rather than. And I don't know if she's going to cut the commercials out or how that's going to work. I might have to edit it before I can post it, but I don't want to. I don't want to post this massive thing with a bunch of commercials and stuff in it. All right, so it looks like Facebook hiccup for a few people. Firefox also stopped on my Echo. Terrible user experience now. Yeah. Yep. Did you see Bitcoin this week, guys? Oh my goodness. Bitcoin, how bad is it this morning? Let me check. It dropped down to $51,000, and that's where I'm like, you know what? That's a buy signal. That's a good deal on Bitcoin. That's on sale. Well, if you bought then, you did buy on sale. It's going to go up again. But if you didn't, now's your chance to get it for $48,600. It's like we just bought a mattress, and now there's going to be a Memorial Day mattress sale. I should have waited, right? So basically, Bitcoin, same thing with Ethereum, is going down a little bit. There's been just a ton of FUD in the news. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD. That's the term in the crypto world for basically anything that anyone ever says negative about cryptocurrency. It's all FUD. Just ignore it. It's kind of like saying it's fake news. Just ignore it. It's fake news. Ignore it. Even if it's real news, fake news. Ignore it. So let me see. What did we have this week? We had the Colonial Pipeline. If only we could regulate Bitcoin. It's these awful cryptocurrencies that allow these criminals to take advantage of people and knock out the gas supply. So there was a drumbeat to try to get public support for the banning of cryptocurrencies. That's a stretch because most normal people don't even understand how ransomware works. If you listen to Compute This, you have a general idea. Yeah, you get encrypted, you can't get your files open, and you pay a ransom or not. And if you pay the ransom, sometimes you get a decryption tool that runs really slowly, unencrypting your stuff, and then your stuff doesn't work anyway afterward because you have to realign all the files and do everything, get the systems up and running. So they were actually faster restoring the Colonial Pipeline from backups, even though they paid the $5 million ransom. So most people don't even know what ransomware is. And so to tell them that Bitcoin is the problem, maybe that's a bad headline, but that's a FUD headline right there. Bitcoin is not the problem that's causing ransomware attacks. Yes, it's how people prefer to get paid, but if it wasn't Bitcoin, it would be Monero. And if it wasn't Monero, it would be Ethereum. If it wasn't Ethereum, it would be Dogecoin. You see, there's just no end to the number of coins out there you can pay in. There's another one, guys, that I just heard about called, well, it's been out for a little bit now, but it just got to my attention. It's called Helium. It is a Wi-Fi based proof of coverage coin. So you have proof of work, which is what Bitcoin is. Proof of work is I'm going to burn electricity to verify transactions and ensure that the blockchain is secure. Then you have proof of stake. I will take my Ethereum and I will put it on the line so that if I confirm a transaction and I confirm a transaction that's bad, I will make it right with my own money. So that's proof of stake. And then you get paid money for staking your Ethereum, for putting it up for basically validating transactions. This is proof of coverage. Last week we talked about proof of storage. This is another one called proof of coverage. And this one could be big. What they're doing is you go out, you buy them. You can't buy them right now. Like, you have to pre-order them. So if you were into crypto, I would recommend pre-ordering one of these. You can Google all about Helium or duck about Helium. You'll find it. But basically, you put this little Wi-Fi router in your house, and it puts up a bubble of coverage. You don't use the Wi-Fi. No one really uses the Wi-Fi right now. It's just, hey, this is my covered bubble. And as other people add covered bubbles, the bubbles will overlap. And the bubbles can go like 9 miles from this transmitter. As they overlap, they verify each other's coverage, right? So you have proof of coverage. Having a bubble gets you coin. Just having the bubble, plugging this little 12-watt thing in, powering it up just like another Wi-Fi router in your house, even though you won't detect the signal on any of your devices, earns you coin. And so if you put one up, you put it on your house, there's exterior models, interior models. If you're a ham radio operator, you know all about the different antennas. But basically, they pay you coin for having these in your house. And the idea here is that eventually these linked networks access to them could be sold. So imagine, AT&T sends people out to build a Wi-Fi network or to build some kind of a wireless network. They're paying engineers, they're putting up antennas, it's awful. Now imagine instead of all that stuff, you have a group of individual people, decentralized, building a transmission network. It has no single point of failure, no single point of catastrophic failure, like a pipeline, or if like you have Cox or CenturyLink or Comcast or Time Warner. Time Warner's gone now, but who are they now? Spectrum. If you have any provider like that, your provider can go down and then your internet goes down. Well, if one hotspot drops off this network, the other ones are bubbled over, so you have coverage. So right now the goal is to get everyone to go out and buy these $400 routers and stick them in their home on the hopes of becoming crypto rich. And it's not a bad deal. The Helium coin trades for about 17 bucks. As of right now, if you had one of these running, you'd get about 45 of these coins a month, I think, from your router. It does have a limited supply like Bitcoin, so it will have. It's going to have in August. So by the time I get mine, it'll be at probably 20 coins per day. Or excuse me, is it per day? I can't remember if it's per day or per month. I said per month earlier. It might have been 20 coins a day at 17 bucks a piece because it's still super early, and that's when you get in on these things, when it's super early. And I don't know, I mean, it's a cool concept. It's got some legs. And then, of course, as people want to use the network, then they're going to have to spend Helium to transmit their data over the network. And when they spend the Helium is rewarded to the people providing the network. And so you have this whole, and then the people with the Helium will sell the Helium for dollars. If people stop selling their Helium because they want to accumulate it, the price will go up, encouraging more people to sell their Helium, and you get the idea. We have a whole economy based on Helium and everyone's individual self-interest. That's what makes this stuff so popular, guys. That's why crypto can't be stopped. Crypto's never going to go to zero because to go to zero, everyone would have to agree it's not worth anything. And I'm sorry, if you got a pocket full of this stuff, you're not going to agree that it's not worth anything. The only time cryptocurrency ever goes to zero is a scam coin that some idiot made trying to get rich quick and had no use case, has no application in the real world, and not even a ghost of an application or a potential future application. Like, this is Dogecoin, right? Dogecoin literally has no application in the world. It has an unlimited supply. Why is it so valuable? Why is it worth 50 cents a coin right now? Well, It's the power of endorsement, guys. It's the same reason that people hire celebrities on the radio and TV to talk about their products. It's why people pay Instagram influencers to talk about their stuff. It works. So you got Elon going out there saying, Dogecoin to the moon, and all of a sudden it takes off. Then he goes on Saturday Night Live and he says, Dogecoin is a hustle, and it falls off a cliff. Then the next day he says, I'm working with the developers on Dogecoin to make the network more efficient, and it rockets up again. I mean, it's a celebrity meme coin. So if you're talking about investing in crypto, this is like investing in a gold mine or investing in a rare earth element mine. It is entirely speculative. It is extremely risky, and you could lose a lot of money. But you'll always have some equipment left to sell. You'll always have a little bit left, but you could lose a lot of money. Now, the difference here is, if you're going to dig for gold or silver or rare earth elements, do you start by just grabbing a shovel and heading out to the backyard and hoping you get lucky? Or are there certain geographic markers? Is there a science that you can use to try to narrow down the locations to something? Or did you find some gold or silver before to lead you to believe there might be more down there? Right? That's the difference between something like Dogecoin and Bitcoin. You know, anybody can make a cryptocurrency. Literally anybody can. And you're going to see that now that eBay is allowing people to sell NFTs, non-fungible tokens. It's basically a crypto representation of a tangible thing or a non-tangible thing. So an NBA slam, Michael Jordan slam dunking with his tongue out in Space Jam, they can capture that and say, that moment is represented by this non-fungible token, and this non-fungible token, we're going to sell it on eBay, and it will sell for thousands of dollars. Why? You don't own the rights to that moment. There can only be one token for that moment, and you own the token for that moment. So there's some scarcity, I guess. But it's like, this is the same thing. Why, if that doesn't, the way that I wrap my brain around non-fungible tokens is baseball cards. Why are baseball cards valuable? They're a picture of a moment or a player on a piece of cardboard, printed on a limited number of pieces of cardboard. Why are they valuable? Because people say they're valuable. Because people want them. That's why they're valuable. A product is worth the price that a person will pay for it. One of the oldest adages of capitalism. A product is only worth what a person will pay for it. So, hey, in Virginia, that's $7 a gallon right now, right? So a non-fungible token is only worth what people will pay for it. But literally, I sat back and said, as a joke, I should make an NFT for the first holiday special ever made. I could get a picture. I have a picture of it. Here's the first holiday special ever made. This is an NFT for the first holiday special ever made. There will never be another one of this one ever again. And every year for the holiday special, I could make an NFT for that year, and I could save it. Kind of like, when they make whiskey or rum and they age it in a cask. And I could wait 10 years, and then 10 years later, here's an NFT for this one from 10 years ago, aged to perfection. They're being recycled right now, but you can own the NFT. I don't think it would sell. I mean, maybe you guys would buy it. I don't know. But I wouldn't feel like I'm selling you something you could actually use, okay? So I don't entirely jump on that boat yet. But I am in the Bitcoin boat. I am in the Ethereum boat. Those two are must-owns if you're a crypto investor. You need Bitcoin. You need Ethereum. If you want to putz around in Dogecoin, that's like your slot machine money, okay? That's what you're going to go to the boats and play with. Sorry, Doge. I mean, there it is. Is there a use case for it? Dogecoin is at a best case scenario, Dogecoin is no different than any other fiat currency. It's no different at all. They can print unlimited amounts of Doge. It just goes up, 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 and up. All right, let's see here. What else do we got? There was a tidbit on the news this morning about Nebraska being the second state behind Wyoming to begin accepting Bitcoin. Do we know anything about that? I had not heard that this morning, but let's take a look. Nebraska accepts Bitcoin. Let's see. Nebraska doctors accept Bitcoin. Nebraska doctor, Nebraska doctor, Nebraska bill could... The Nebraska... Wait a minute. This headline is the most terribly written... Okay. So this is from May 10th. Nebraska lawmakers give the green light to digital asset banks. If the Nebraska Financial Innovation Act is enacted, Nebraska would become the second state to allow state-chartered banks to accept crypto deposits. So this would allow your regular bank, your Westgate Bank, your Cornhusker Bank, Bank of America, any of those banks in Nebraska to accept and hold deposits of cryptocurrencies. Don't expect anything to happen really fast on this, guys. Banks are notoriously slow, and this technology is completely foreign to them. So all of your smaller banks pretty much use fintech that's made by a centralized company, Fiserv. They make the apps that allow you to deposit your checks for all the smaller banks. So if the thing I would expect to happen is have Fiserv create a piece of software that allows banks to accept cryptocurrency deposits. But the problem is, yay, Nebraska did it. Yay, Wyoming did it. I mean, I love Nebraska. I'm sure Wyoming is great, but where's New York? Where's Florida? Where's California? Where's Texas? Because unless those states do it, we can do this all day long. And local Nebraska banks could potentially build something that would allow them to accept and hold cryptocurrency. They would make them very innovative. They would become a national bank overnight because people from around the world would deposit with them if they paid an interest rate and gave an FDIC protection. Holy cow, that would be phenomenal. But I mean, that's the big thing you don't get at BlockFi right now is there's no protection. There's no FDIC. Your crypto is out there. So yes, you're getting up to 9% interest on stablecoin deposits. But on the other hand, if something bad happened to BlockFi, your money is just gone. So it's kind of like the 1920s all over again with, banks could crash and go under and then the money's just gone. You have to get to the bank and get your money out before it's gone. Run on the bank kind of stuff. Please get a microphone for Facebook. It sounds like you are really far in the background. Is anybody else having audio issues at all? I did turn it down a little bit because I noticed when I talk about this loud, I'm redlining. So when I'm projecting, I am redlining. When I talk normally, I'm well into the green and the yellows here now. Before, I was up a little hot, and when I was talking normal, I was redlining. But if other people are having trouble, let me know. I mean, Winston did give me the audio check go-ahead, so I wonder, Kirk, if it might be something with your phone or your computer that you're listening with. But all right, last call for questions, guys. We're going to wrap this one up. Just FYI, next week there will not be an After Schrock. The Schrocks are on vacation in South Carolina, so I will be recording a show for you, though. I'm going to do it as late as I can in the week so that all the content is fresh and current and real. So that you've got a great show to listen to that is current events and everything that it would normally be, but there just won't be an aftershock afterward. We'll see if I can get a video component of that too. If I can, I think there is a way that, I know there's a way to do it, but I'm trying to think of an automated way to do it. I can schedule the post on Facebook to just dump the video, like here's the video of the show, watch it. But I think I can also trick it into doing a live broadcast and then playing a recorded video as a live broadcast, which is totally against Facebook's rules. So I don't know if I want to do that, so I got to do a little research into that. But I know I can do it. I just have to be up in the morning and remote it into my computer and clicking play, and then an hour later clicking stop. Otherwise, the live broadcast would just go on black screen for forever, and that would be bad. Alrighty. No Facebook issues. The Schrock branch office in Grand Island. Thank you, Mark. Alrighty. Will that helium theory work for rural areas? Well, that's a great question. So your helium bubble basically gives you a bubble, and there's different antennas that you can get, but the ones that I'm getting are the dome style antennas. So when I say dome style, it's not a description of the physical antenna. It's the signal is a dome, so it goes up and out to create a 9-mile radius, so an 18-mile wide dome, basically. And then that should, if I put one at my house, it should overlap one that I put in Papillion. If I put one in the Omaha Service Center, it probably isn't going to reach the Papillion Service Center, but luckily there's another bubble in between the two that will connect us. So in a rural area, I see where you're going with this. It could be hard, but imagine if you took the line of sight antenna, they can go 20, 30, 40 miles, and you put it on a water tower. Now all of a sudden it's like, pew. Now hills, obstructions, things like that are a problem, which is why I'm using the dome antennas and not line of sight. I don't have any, I'm not on a hill anywhere. I have hills all the way, around me. I have a clear shot at most of Omaha from where I live, but on one side of me, it's just we're behind a hill. So I would have no coverage in that direction at all. And it's proof of coverage. So the objective here is it is in your own self-interest to maximize your coverage area. So I want to maximize my coverage area. So I'm going to put one in each of the service centers. I noticed there's already, no joke, this blew my mind. There are 3 Helium routers in the apartments behind Schrock Innovations in Lincoln. They are the 3 only Helium routers in the city that I saw on the map. But there are 3 of them right behind the service center in Lincoln. Go figure that one out. Having more Helium routers close to each other is actually a good thing because you end up proving each other's coverage. And it's great for the network because you get redundant coverage, you see. So in a rural area, you would have an incentive as somebody in a rural area to take every high point on your land and put a transmitter on it because you would earn money from the transmitter. You would earn Helium, so there's no middleman, there's no FCC ID. These are all FCC cleared devices. You don't have to get any approval for any of it. You just put it in your house like a Wi-Fi router and go. It's interesting, right? And so I think there's 4 different companies that make the devices. I ended up ordering the RAK ones, the rack devices. I've called them rack. It could be rock or something. I don't know. Or it could be maybe the K is silent. But the ones that I ordered were this one, and I got in just before they started doing the lottery system, which is what they started doing here just the other day. So I'll give you a quick link if you're interested. There's your link. You can take a look at the device. I know there's some hammies out there that want to see it. Operates at 915 megahertz. But basically, they're doing something now where you can put your name in for 1 unit and then wait. I was able to order 4 units. These units are selling on eBay right now for $1,800 a piece, and they're continuously in back order as the network is growing. So my thought is, I'm going to order 4 of these things. I'm going to put 1 in each, or 5. I ordered 5, I think. I'm going to put 1 in each service center and 1 at my house. If I decide that this isn't for me, or it's not earning enough coin, or it's never going to, my estimate was it would be break even from a financial perspective. If I sold the coin, I'd be break even in like 2 months. So for using virtually no electricity, just 2 months to recover equipment cost is pretty phenomenal. Or I could sell one of the 5 devices for $1,800 on eBay and get all my money back. So anyway, it's something interesting to look into, and I try to bring you the latest and greatest things in crypto, because if you hear about it on Fox, if you hear about it on CNN, if you read about it in the World Herald, even if you hear about it sometimes on the radio, it's already old news. So I brought you 2 weeks ago a story about a coin called Chai. I call it Chia, but it's Chai. It's proof of storage. So in the last 2 weeks, I have farmed 54 terabytes of storage on my computers in my Chai experiment, and I got nothing to show for it because the network is growing so fast that 54 terabytes is a fart in the wind. 54 terabytes. Most people have a 1 terabyte hard drive. This would be like I took 54 laptops and put them in a room together, and all they were doing is storing stuff, nothing else. So it's getting stupid. So I joined a pool to help out with it, even though it's an unauthorized pool because there are no authorized. I joined the Chinese H pool because it's the only one that exists. They're getting 50% of the rewards almost right now. You literally can't win. And the old adage, if you can't beat them, join them. I got hardware costs to recoup. So yeah, I joined the unauthorized pool, especially when they said the authorized pools are going to be delayed another week at least. I'm like, guys, number 1, I'm going to be on vacation then. Number 2, no, I can't wait. I'm not getting any coin, and I've invested in the hardware. I need to recoup that investment. And I can always sell the hardware. I can always sell the hard drives. It's not a big deal. They're really in demand right now, very much so. I can sell them at a profit, but I got them to mine the coin. So to farm the coin. I want to farm the coin. So anyway, I try to bring you those stories as quick as I can because I got in too late. And I got in, like, the coin's been around since 2017, but it really started taking off in like March. And I got in May, and that was too late. So if you order one of the Wi-Fi Helium things, you still have the opportunity to get in relatively early while the rewards are still heavy enough that you can recoup your equipment cost quickly. In the pool, my my 54 terabytes of hard drive space is earning me about $10 an hour. So, not a bad investment. Think about that. Where else can you get someone to pay you $10 an hour, 24 hours a day? It's $240 a day. That's not bad, right? I mean, and of course, that assumes you're going to continue to plot, which means assumes you're going to buy more hard drives. So you have an ongoing cost. So it's not straight profit, but it's not a lot of electricity either. And the hardware is something you can resell if you decide to quit. So it is what it is. It's fun. This is what I do for fun, right? How sad is that? But I know there's some of you out there that want to do this kind of stuff too, so I'll tell you about it so you can look into it, make your own decisions, and decide what you want to do. Alrighty. Wrapping it up, guys. Like I said, I won't be with you next weekend, but I'll be back the week after that, but I'll get you a good show in the meantime. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. I genuinely do. Have a great day and a great week.